it's LegitLovely. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are doing a Sims 3 tutorial. Now, somebody in my YouTube comments asked me to do a tutorial on how I make my Sims, quote, thick. So, here we are, making a video on how I make my Sims in the Sims 3 thick. But for, advertiser-friendly purposes, the title of this video is going to be how I make my Sims curvy. Do I think the term thick would get blocked? I'm not exactly sure, but we're not going to take the chance because I want as many people to be able to see this video and take notes from it as possible. So, if you guys haven't already seen my Sims 3 slider tutorial video where I give you guys a download link to my slider folder, that link will be in the description below. I ask you to go watch that first, and then you come back to this video just so you guys have a little bit of background knowledge on sliders and whatnot, because that is basically all you're going to be using and talking about in this video. So, this sim right here is from my young couple created sim. Now, she is kind of curvy. She has some curves, but she's kind of slim at the same time, too. So, I know the video that you guys asked me about the tutorial on, the sim was kind of more, she had more weight on her and she had more curves. She was more thick. So, let's get started. So, the first thing that I do is I don't usually have a sim that already has curves on her. I usually take a normal base sim. But what I do is I go to my sliders. Now, if you haven't yet watched my slider tutorial, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video and I linked in the description, this might be a little confusing to you, but make sure that your slider multiple is at least 5 or 6. Mine's set on 5. Then the sliders that I use in that ones that are most important are the leg sliders, the butt sliders, the hip sliders, the waist sliders, and mostly those. So, the first thing I usually do when I'm trying to, get myself some curves is I go to the leg width slider, and it really just depends on the sim's body composition and how I want the sim to look, depending on what sliders I use. But the leg width slider is usually the most important one, because when you think of a curvy person or a thick person, you usually think of their legs, their thighs, their butt. Okay. So after I use the leg width slider, what I'll usually do is the hip width. I might even do it the other way around. I might do the hip width first. But you really got to give her some hips. Okay? There's the hips. Now another slider that I use, and you'll have all these sliders in your game if you download them from my video. If not, things might not work because they won't be in your game. But the next thing I'll do is I'll go to the leg thigh width. Now I usually have this a little lower. I have this a little negative. So it's usually around like negative 15, negative 29, negative 44. Around there, because I like the dip, how it like curves in and then it curves back out. Kind of like an hourglass figure on her legs. And then for the waist, I always make the waist a little smaller. Sometimes I'll make it a little bigger depending on the sim. I would never do something like that, and I would never do that. Because it distorts everything. But on this sim, I feel like kind of like a bigger waist would work. Kind of, still a slimmer waist, but not like all the way in like that. Maybe a little wider, maybe around like 103. Now, based on this sim's proportions, her leg width does look a little high for her. You want to make everything proportionate. It's very, very important. So, you really just have to work around with your sliders in order to make everything proportionate. It really depends, like I said, on the sim and, the clothes she's wearing and everything like that. So, what I might do is go back to thigh width, make it a little slimmer, make the hips a little slimmer again. It's a lot of trial and error when it comes to not just making your Sims curvy, but making Sims in general. So, I feel like her legs are all set. Now we're going to go to her butt, which the butt slider is also under the mouth category. A lot of the sliders that I use for, making my Sims curvy are under the mouth category. So, you want to make it proportionate, like I said. So, you want to adjust the mass and the size. But another important slider for the butt is the butt waist height, I believe it's called. I don't use it very often, and I don't use it to its fullest extent, but I do still use it. This raises the height of the waist and her butt. So, you don't want it all the way up here because it'll distort the waist, but you don't want it all the way down there. So right in the middle, you want to make it kind of realistic. Right about, let's see, maybe right about there. I feel like that looks good. Yeah. So now her legs and her waist and everything are all set. One thing that I will occasionally do is adjust her weight slider with everything else, just because you don't just have natural curves without, having at least a little bit of weight. So I won't adjust it too much, but I will adjust it a little bit. And then, because it distorted a couple things, I will go back and adjust her leg width, because the weight slider does adjust the leg width itself. But I like to go back and make sure that everything still looks proportionate at the same time. So I'll go back to the butt waist slider, the height thing that I showed you guys right here. I'll lower that a little bit. Okay. And then for her breast sliders, I don't usually make my Sims have big breasts because it tends to glitch with clothing, but you can adjust them a little bit with the main slider. But then what I do is I go back on your mouth and I go to the custom breast sliders, because you can do a lot more things. For example, you can bring them vertical, you can bring them, down, up or down in the vertical position. You can rotate them, you can make them full or not. I usually go like this when I do that. Then the cleavage. The cleavage doesn't actually do much because cleavage is based on skin for most Sims, but it kind of does a little bit. So then I'll go back to the normal breast slider. Sorry, it's a lot of back and forth, but it really does make good results. So I would say that this is one of my thicker Sims. Not compared to what I usually make, but I would say that she does have a very curvaceous and thick figure, and I really like the way that she came out. One other thing that I always do is I make the hand smaller, which I adjust the arms. Just really, the main goal of doing this is to make everything look very, very proportionate. And I wanted her to have not like a full set of clothes on. I wanted her to have like a bodysuit or a bathing suit or something like she does right now, to really show that you really want the body to be proportionate. You don't want unrealistic features, which you can if you want. It's The Sims. But I find that the more realistic they look and the more proportionate things are, I don't know, the better it looks. So, one thing that I don't usually mess with, I want to quickly mention, is her calf slider. Simply because when you mess with the calf slider too much, this is what happens. It'll bring like the legs back, because I guess the calf sliders interfere. But if you are going to work with the calf sliders, make sure that they're also proportionate. You don't have nice thick thighs with like these calves. Like, that doesn't happen. So you want it to be like right in the middle. You can leave it where it is, or you can adjust it a little more. But for the most part, my calf sliders usually stay the same. Like I said, I don't mess with them very often. I try and keep them the same slider amount. But really, this is just how I make my curvy Sims. So I hope that this helped you guys. Like I said, in order to have these sliders and be able to set them multiple, you need to have my slider folder, and it's very simple. Just watch the video. Like I said, it'll be linked in the description below. I want to quickly mention that I am still a little sick, so if I sound a little nasally or congested in this video, I want to apologize for that. I'm still getting over it, but I have to push through with my videos. I also want to mention that starting this week, I will be doing CNA classes in real life. So I will still have my 3 videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with my collab on Thursday. This week's collab, I believe, is, let me check. I have a little Google Calendar set up for everything. This week's collab is a Sims style swap, so I'm doing that with somebody. It's a Sims 3 collab, but I will, like I said, have all my videos still going up, but I won't be as active on Twitter during the day. The classes are from 8 to 4, so after that I'll be active. I'll be making videos and whatnot. But if I'm not on my phone as much as I usually am, I just wanted you guys to know why. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that I helped you out. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me on all my social medias that are conveniently linked in the description below. I love you so much. Have a great day. Stay lovely. Bye, everyone.
I said, hey, you, perfectly on cue at the end of the night. As I recall, I said, hey, babe,